My name is McLaren Wallace. I am the founder of Archegyral and the originator of the Archegyre, which is a multi-ontology contextual framework for understanding human nature. One of the main ways that we understand or attempt to understand human nature is by objectifying people through types and trait profiling. And rather than doing that, I work with people as dynamic flows rather than static objects. And the way that I do that is through a frame semantics and cognitive linguistics process. So I work with language, with imagery, and with metaphor, so that we can understand the cognitive processes in the mind and how those are represented spatially and temporally. So the project I was involved in was for a large multinational company who are trying to implement a global financial template. And they've been trying to do this for about 4 years. They had burnt through about $400 million in doing this. It's a very, very large company. They're trying to do this worldwide in a number of cultures and countries. And the program had stalled. That they had 32 sub-projects in this program and 19 of those had stalled. The problem wasn't that they didn't have the expertise or the talent. In fact, they had too much talent. They had so many experts involved in it. The biggest problem they had was the executive board had okayed this program, and it was a very, very good idea, and they'd like to implement it. And so they had this idealised view of it happening. The actual people implementing it were very competent and can do that, and could have done that. But in the middle was a leadership layer who saw all these resources available to make this happen and were forming into silos and tribes and clans. There was lots of infighting going on and nothing was really happening. So the approach I took was quite unique and original, and instead of trying to go along with my client who just wanted to gather more data or force people to do things or provide a series of prescriptive actions, I realised that the problem was not one of too little data or too little expertise, but a lack of orientation amongst all the people. So there were about 150 leaders who had all the expertise required to make the project happen, but they had a variety of perspectives which seemed incompatible. So the approach I suggested to my client was to work with their cognitive perspectives as in as wide a way as possible, rather than trying to align them and prescribe one narrow specific perspective. So my client agreed with this, and we decided to use a process that I'd suggested that would allow us to bring together 150 different perspectives and use those as a basis for encouraging more progress with the program. So the process I suggested and use with my client is a process called Archegyral Mapping. And in this we use cognitive linguistics and semantic framing, and we invite all the individual clients, so 150 leaders, we have them in a room, a ballroom in Texas, in Austin, and we ask them to draw a cartographic map of where they are and to use topography as a way of orienting themselves. And the way we do this is to use cognitive linguistics, to use metaphor. So if they're having to make a big effort, if they have a mountain to climb, if it's an uphill struggle, they draw a mountain. If they are stuck somewhere, if they are bogged down, they draw a marsh. If they have some learning flowing out of where they are, they draw a river. If they are lost someplace, but in an area of potential growth opportunity, they draw a forest. So each of the individuals drew an individual map, an archegyral map, of where they are and where they see the program going. We then took these 150 individual maps and invited the 150 clients to form into 12 groups and to share their maps. And of course, all these maps, because they're working on the same program, they all have common ground. So these are common ground maps. So inviting the clients to, with just scissors and glue, to cut out the topographic features that were in common and make a common ground map. And then we took those 12 common ground maps, and with the help of a visual artist who was part of our team, we joined them together into one higher ground map. So now we have a large document that everyone has contributed to, everyone is familiar with, everyone understands it, no one has any real issues with it, and everyone can see where they're coming from, where they're at, and where they're going with the program. So there were some fundamental insights that came out of it for the client. The first one was that you don't have to have everyone's perspectives entirely aligned. In fact, it's much healthier to have a number of divergent perspectives. It's far more resilient. Everyone in the team of those 150 leaders now had a common language. They had a common cognitive language where they could say things like, oh, now we're halfway up Go Live Mountain. Where do we go from here? Or we're lost in the bog of regulation. So everyone's got a common language. There's also a sense of progress because they know that they're going someplace now. They have the potential to move forward. They can also, all the leaders can locate themselves, even though they're not entirely aligned. They can go back to their respective cultures and countries and still understand where everyone is and be able to orient and appreciate each other's perspectives. So there is this much bigger picture has emerged where everyone is, rather than just having narrow insights or narrow pictures or narrow perspectives around where they were previously. And what came out of it was, of the 19 of the sub-projects in the programme, 19 of the 32 had stalled. Within 2 months, 17 of those were now making progress again. And I did 31 interviews with the team leaders who'd been there. And of those, 81% said that it had been very, very useful to them to understand everyone else's perspectives. Another 74% said it was fantastic that they had this common language that they could all move forward with. And another 61% said it made having conversations about further tensions and difficulties much easier to have. So the key thing that came out of it, just in general, is that in business, particularly in transformation and change programs, people talk a lot about maps, but these maps are usually just diagrams, they're just boxes and arrows on a PowerPoint slide. This is an actual topographic map that everyone can relate to. It doesn't matter what culture, what country, what creed you come from. So it's a natural human process, just using human nature to work with this, to work with the idea of landscape and location and orientation in the landscape. So all the processes offered by Archegyral work fundamentally with human nature, rather than trying to prescribe really objective, narrow perspective instructions, ways of looking at things, just working with wider human nature and using cognitive processes, cognitive linguistics, using semantic framing, metaphors, idioms, language, imagery, things that people just naturally connect with and can work with. In some ways it's very, very childlike, but that's part of its power. It has that real high impact because people naturally engage with it rather than having to learn a whole lot of instructions first. Yeah, so the opportunity to enter for this award, and even more fortunately to win the award, has been a fantastic experience for me, because in the day-to-day work that I do, I am seen as being an expert. And one of the great things about ABP was that I could work with a group of peers who would enable me to validate my work or give me some insights about how I could work with the potential of what I do. So being able to work with a group of peers has been hugely valuable for me and has given me access to a wide variety of resources such as this that I wouldn't have had before.